So, before we continue, I just want us to put a round of applause for Chris Annie, who spoke about blockchain earlier, the keynote speaker. I mean, he dealt so extensively on blockchain. So we're just going to go straight to the point so that we don't waste our time. All right, please, if you're standing at the entrance, can you please come forward and sit down? If you're standing, please come and sit down. We're about to start. Thank you. All right, thank you very much for your presence. I mean, I don't know if you were available during the panel, the keynote address made by Chris Annie. He spoke extensively about blockchain and the opportunities and the possibilities that Nigeria and African can leverage. So we're not going to be conceptualizing blockchain anymore. We're just going to be talking about the possibilities that are bound for Nigeria in various sectors. So I'm just going to be bringing the first question to Obi Emetarom. I mean, you have experience playing the space, leveraging blockchain. Your platform Zone leverages blockchain to provide payment services. So I'm just going to ask you, what do you think, what are the other aspects in fintech industry or in the fintech industry, what possibilities do you envisage unbounding for the fintech space in Nigeria and Africa from fully adopting blockchain technology? The possibilities.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here as always. Yeah. So I think today, the primary use case for blockchain technology in financial services is payment. So you see a lot of cross-border payment solutions, domestic payment solutions. So in Zone, we are providing infrastructure for domestic payments and cross-border as well using this technology. But if you think about financial services, payment is one vertical. So there are a number of types of financial services. So there's payment, there's lending, there's investments, there's savings, asset management, trading, insurance, and so on. So what we expect to see as this whole thing evolves is new products, but more within DeFi that go beyond payments to cut across to these other verticals. And what that does is there are four main parameters it impacts. One is risk. So risk of financial services will go down significantly because in DeFi, you have self-custody. So people's value don't depend on third parties. Yeah. Your money sits on the blockchain and it will always be there. There's not going to be any story like, some bank failed and I lost money, or some exchange failed and I lost money, right? So risk will go down significantly. Cost of financial services will go down significantly because smart contracts will replace a lot of the expensive human activities. And then on the flip side, the sort of product variety goes up. So this is where you have a lot of opportunity for innovation and a lot of young startups and professionals to really make an impact, because you remove the kind of custody element of financial services from the innovation. And I'll use something like an app store, for example. Imagine if Google Play Store only had apps built by Google. Right? It will be so limited, right? But today, a lot of other developers build for Google Play Store. So that's how financial services will evolve, where the custody of the assets has been moved to the blockchain. So a lot of other players, small, big, medium-sized, can build a lot of innovative financial products, kind of like the way you have a Play Store and App Store today. And so variety goes up. The last thing is what one of the speakers referred to, which is liquidity. So liquidity is the ability to convert like an asset to cash and back. that will go up significantly, and that would unlock a lot of value simply because of the whole idea of fractional. Like the last speaker said, you can break one big asset into tiny components that a lot of people can invest in and participate. So that unlocks liquidity in a massive way and creates opportunity for people to build those sort of real world tokens, to tokenize real world assets, tokenize financial assets, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so we're going to see a major evolution from where we are today, and I think we're really excited to see how that pans out.
Thank you very much for that response. Emmanuel, I don't know if you want to provide something to that. Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I want to just thank the organizers for this brilliant event. This is my first time at Technext, so I'll give a shout out to. Fantastic. Just to add to what he said, I think he made valid points in terms of where the fintech industry in Nigeria as well as across Africa will see some sort of leverage in blockchain technology if they delve into areas like DeFi, or they go into areas like enhanced remittance and tokenized assets. All right, but I just want to focus on the factors that might delimit such efforts, which is the government regulation, which we know can go to a large extent to demoralize some sort of innovative solutions that blockchain intended to provide, especially in Nigeria, and also education. I used to work with the biggest crypto exchange in the world, and our focus at the time was more on education. Education is really, really important in Africa in terms of getting people to understand the opportunities that revolve around the blockchain, around crypto, around how to make them have a career in that path, right? And where software developers would tend to see a bigger opportunity from just doing extraordinary things based on their skill set, right? So some of these factors, like government regulation and education, lack of education, might kind of want to hamper some of the efforts that the fintech companies will want to do in terms of innovative approaches to blockchain.
Yeah, thank you very much for your response. Now, there was recent news about the federal government having to store the NYC certificates with blockchain technology, and that's one of the use cases that we are trying to explore in Nigeria. So I'm just going to ask Ayo, what other use cases do you think we can use blockchain for in Nigeria apart from that aspect?
Right, thank you very much. Okay. All right, thank you. So, can I deviate a little bit from that topic, like from the question a little bit?
All right.
Great. So, because like I've been hearing us talking about use cases, and I think that's like the top level discussion. So it's safe for us to not assume that everyone in the house are like on that top level. So let's just bring it back a little bit. Because like we're talking about use case, we are assuming that everyone here are either developers, product persons, and all. No, some people can just be like me who are also like confused and thinking about, okay, how do I even get to use blockchain? What is this thing I need to use? So I just like deviate before going, because like I've had Chris Anning speak about use cases, we've had Tutor and the others talk about use cases, talk about fintech and all. So I want to like see blockchain and like, I see all of us are like different players in the blockchain space. So we want to talk about today of blockchain. Where is blockchain presently? We're still trying to like get adoption. Everyone's talking about next billion users, blah, 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 blah. And so I would like to like first see almost everyone as confused as I am. So we're talking about blockchain. They've talked about the definition, but how do you get to use blockchain? How do you touch blockchain? How do you feel blockchain? So I think that it's best to say that everyone can actually contribute to blockchain as either a user, either a developer, and I think user and developer are like the most cases, because you use the crypto and all of those stuff, then you build these stuffs. But then not all of us are going to be developers. So some persons today can be product managers, community managers, content guys, and all of those stuffs. Because one of the things we need to understand is that before we move to the aspect of use cases, we need to get to understand that people to even understand how do they matter in the blockchain space. There are use cases, NYSE is just one, but then how many people understand crypto enough to want to even when we start talking to say institutions about, let's use blockchain for example, and they're like, what is even this blockchain? How many developers they have that can plug this into them? So as much as we want to talk about use cases, I want to first talk about how do you get to use blockchain? How do you contribute to blockchain? So not all of us are contributors, but then there are other people who wants to contribute who don't know how to contribute. So I will just talk to them in a little bit of time. You can contribute in many ways. Like he mentioned education. Education is one large thing we need to solve before adoption. Like if we don't solve education, we will not get adoption. Like I still see crypto or blockchain as an echo chamber, because when we're talking in-house we all have almost the same set of people, but if we don't get the others to also come, we will not get edge. So education is one way. I think education is just one way I'm going to base on, but then use cases can also be around medical records. There's no point, I think it was somebody on the last panel mentioned that we look at the problems we have. Like if we understand all the problems we have, we can plug in the technology if we understand it. I think I didn't blab too much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Obi, I just wanted to give practical ways, just like Ayodija has said. What are the practical ways that the federal government, now we've seen the NYC scenario. What other practical way, the systems in Nigeria, how can we bring in blockchain practically to solve certain problems in the country?
All right, yeah, thanks. So basically, blockchain provides value where trust of records is required, right? Which is why the NYSE thing makes sense. You want to be able to be sure that no matter how long passes, an NYSE certificate is authentic. Now, if you think about public sector, there are a lot of other records like that, right? So birth certificates, for example, right? How do you validate who this person is when he was born? Marriage certificates, land registry, things like criminal records with the police, things like somebody mentioned, even voting systems and election. So that one is really critical because you have multiple parties trying to ensure that the records and the processes that generated those records are valid and nobody has tampered with them. So if you look across the spectrum, I think public sector is a huge area really, beyond just the NYSE. Public sector is a massive area simply because the citizens depend on the authenticity of those records and also the processes as well. So if you think of stuff like immigrations, right, or ID, national ID or passport services or customs, beyond the authenticity of the records, there's also the process, right? What you have today, because the process is flexible, human beings tweak the process and sometimes to favor themselves. That's where you talk about corruption and so on. If you move those processes to smart contracts on the blockchain, first of all, they are defined in a way that is proper, but because it's also immutable, then you're sure people can't kind of play with the processes, and you're sure that the outcomes are the outcomes that we expect. So it's going to be the level of transparency, the level of automation that blockchain can bring to public sector services, the level of trust and sort of reliability is going to be really unprecedented. But it takes political will, to execute it.
Thank you very much for that. It takes political will. Moving on to AI now. We know that AI has been with us for a very long time, but generative AI is something that the trend has just swept through the industry from last year, from the introduction of ChatGPT. If you use ChatGPT here, let me see your hand. I mean, everybody use ChatGPT right now.
AI is actually scary. I just have to say.
We are coming to that. We are coming to that. So let's go to David now. We've heard about AI, generative AI, particularly sweeping through industries, the tech industry, and companies are leveraging AI so well. But I want you to bring this to Africa. What opportunities and possibilities do you see for African startups adopting AI?
Okay. Hi, everybody. If you are here, say I'm here. You guys are dull. So when other speakers were talking, I was just like, no, this cannot be my own session. So if you are here, say I'm here. Okay, good. This is my own session. If you guys are talking, they can be quiet, but this is my session. Okay. Who understand AI when it comes to from a beginner perspective? Do you understand AI? Exactly. So now it's better we start off from the background of what AI is.
Okay.
So that you will understand how we are building on it. And we can go to your question.
All right.
AI is this. I need to get from point A to point B. And it takes me 30 minutes to do that thing. Either I need to move a file from point A to point B, or do an analysis from point A to point B, or drive from Ikeja to Landmark from point A to point B. And maybe it takes us 20 minutes or 1 hour to do that. What AI is saying right now, not before. Before, AI was at the back end of every product. It was not something that you can use from the front end pressing. A sales manager before does not know how to use ChatGPT. Before, that is AI. So what OpenAI did was to say, I'm going to give everybody the ability to use AI like a friend. So now, what we are now getting into is that the things that we now do in businesses that takes time, OpenAI or AI generally is now saying that instead of it taking 12 days to do a proposal, you're a CEO. If you employ me and you say, okay, you're a business analyst, create a proposal that we need to send to government, I'm going to tell you that Obi is going to take me a week. And you say, oh, that is fine. But right now, I cannot go back to Obi and say, Obi, it's going to take me a week. Obi will say, I don't understand. Why will it take you a week? We are in the AI world. It shouldn't take you a week. At least it should take you 2-3 days. So AI is saying that productivity should be high. So back to your question. The real gain of AI within business, startup, enterprise is productivity. Nothing more, nothing less. It is productivity. Yeah, you can clap. Thank you. It is actually looking at how do financial institution, how do insurance company, how do fintech, how do real estate companies, how do cryptocurrency companies take AI to say, how do we improve the processes? Now remember, every business are solving business problems, people's problems. But what we are using blockchain to say since morning is that we have to make sure that this blockchain or cryptocurrency solve the major problems that we have. And that is how it becomes more usable and more valuable. Now, what AI is now saying is that AI is embedding itself into the processes of different companies. The salesperson, the product person, the content person, the data person, the CEO. Everybody is now saying that, how do I use my skill set together with AI to increase my productivity? That is the game.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you give him a round of applause? I believe you've explained extensively, but just before we ask questions, I just want to pose a question each to Emmanuel and Obi. Now there are optimisms around AI. Good. People are optimistic about AI and what it can do, the productivity it can contribute to startups and businesses. But there are also fears, there are pessimisms. I just want to get your opinion about the fears of people, what they think that AI can do to creativity, what it can do to work culture. In a minute, just please tell us your opinion about generative AI.
I'm in the marketing space, right? I've been doing marketing for 10 years, right? I easily describe myself as a generalist. So I have a skill set in digital, copywriting, right? And the rest of them inside marketing, all right? For some particular functions like copywriters or social media managers or content writers, they are scared. Why? For their job, right? But the truth is, we are supposed to use AI to work for us, right? And I want people in that kind of profession to see AI as a tool to use. It's going back to way back in the past when Google came on board, right? Before Google, it was ask.com. Right. When Google came on board, people were some people in that space were kind of like worried. Google is going to answer a lot of questions. People are not going to do a lot of research or go to the library and all that. But we found a way to work with Google. Right. Same thing AI in the next 5 to 10 years. Right. I'm sure we'll find a way to live with it. Our different profession.
Thank you very much. Can you put a round of applause for him? Because of time, we'll be going straight to the question. Sorry, Obi. We'll take questions. Just a question. If you have any question, can I see your hand? How do I make the decision? Mini, mani, mo. The lady there. The lady. Yes, you. All right. Can you please give us a question?
Okay, first, thank you for the
How
opportunity.
many questions?
Okay, 2.
Please ask one. Ask one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the question I'll be asking, sorry, a minute.
You're not ready. The other person.
Sorry. Okay, I'm ready. So the question I'll be asking is this. Okay, so what trends do you foresee in the near future for startup?
What trends do you foresee for AI?
Yes.
For startups?
Not just AI.
Okay.
Also in blockchain.
Blockchain.
So for someone that is thinking of starting up in this in blockchain and AI, what trend do you foresee in the future that you think that we should prepare ourselves for, and also how we can also navigate around it? Thank you.
Obi, you got the question. All right.
All right, thanks. That's a fantastic question. So one clear area is for blockchain is in DeFi, decentralized finance. Like I explained before, the original model was that like today, the only institutions that create financial services are the institutions that hold the balances, right? And it's difficult to get a license to hold the balance because the requirements are very high. So to be able to create a financial service, you have to be a bank, right? And that's really tough. It's not going to be like that in the future. A lot of startups are going to have the opportunity to build really innovative, niche-focused DeFi products because they're not required to hold the balance. The balance sits on the blockchain. So I think one clear area where there are people thinking about how to create solutions and startups in blockchain should be DeFi. And there's a lot of information out there about different DeFi verticals. So whether it's lending or yield farming, or whether it's in savings or trading or whatever. So there's massive opportunity there. In AI, even within financial services again, the different verticals have aspects where AI has to plug in. So for example, in payment, there's fraud detection and AML, anti-money laundering. If you go to lending, there is credit scoring, loan prediction. If you go to investment side, things like yield farming require AI. If you go to insurance, even insurance, there's claims management. Yes. So those are complementary. Now, on the front end, generative AI is going to become the interface for a lot of these financial services. So building language models that can interact with this backend to make the UX really simple for the end user. People talk about how crypto UX is very poor and so on and so forth. All that will go away. We are going to interact with our financial services and our blockchain with natural language. And people are going to build this thing, financial assistants that can use those services on our behalf. So I think these are some of the areas where I think startups should be thinking about. And there's a lot more beyond financial services, there's a lot more.
Thank you very much, Obi. Thank you very much, panelists. This is the end of the session, but you can put your hands together for them. Put your hands together for them.